Hi everyone, this is Thomas Gunn with Das Haus, and today we're going to be making a traditional German potato soup. So on your screen you're going to see the ingredients. Let's go through them really quickly so that you can get yourself set up. Over here in the bowl I've got 8 medium to large sized potatoes, peeled, cut into about 1 centimeter cubes, and they've already been cooked. So these I've let simmer for 8 to 9 minutes, just until they're beginning to become tender, in salted water. Take them out and set them aside. You're going to need 1 very finely chopped onion, 4 cups of milk, regular whole milk, 2% milk, some chicken stock powder, some nutmeg, 2 very finely diced carrots, about 10 slices of bacon cut into pieces. Again, if my bacon slices were fairly thick, so actually 8 is enough. If you're getting, if you're buying the regular bacon, which where the slices are a bit thinner, 10 slices is better. 3 tablespoons of flour, salt and pepper, 2 cups of water. We might need more water in the end, but we'll decide that together. And then 3 to 4 tablespoons of butter. I think I've got about 3 tablespoons here. The butter was a bit hard, so I'm not going to dig into the pound with a measuring spoon. But that's about 3 tablespoons. All right, so we're ready to go. Over here we've got our pot sitting. Let me just set up the camera. There we go. We're going to turn on the heat. So, and then the first thing we're going to do is get the butter melting. So let's put the butter in our pot. There we go. We're just going to get that going. Obviously you can do this over high heat right now. You don't want to burn your butter, but we're just melting it. I just want to get this done quickly. Once the butter's melted, we're going to put in the bacon. So the bacon we're going to fry, obviously. It's bacon, but you don't want to get it crispy. You want to bring it to the point where it's, just about to get crisp, but it's still pliable enough so that because you're going to have these pieces in the soup, and you don't want crispy little bits in your soup. So here we go. The butter's melted. We're going to put in all that bacon, and we're going to let that fry up. So I'm going to let this fry on a medium-high heat. You don't need to watch this, right, because it's kind of boring. So I'll time it. Obviously it's going to vary on, the exact temperature you have it at, but just to give you an idea, once it's done, I'll tell you how long it took, and then we'll continue the recipe. So here we go. It's been 4.5 minutes. And I'd say the bacon is done. So this is kind of where you want it. It's just starting to get a brown tinge. So at this point, because now you have all the bacon fat mixed with the butter, and this will be too much fat in the soup. So what you're going to do now is get yourself a cup or a glass and a little strainer, and we're going to pour this into the cup, all the butter and rendered bacon fat. And once I've got that done, I'll come back and I'll continue. Alright, so I've just poured off the fat, just to give you an idea of what the bacon should look like. There you go. So now, back into the pot, add 3 tablespoons of that mixture of butter and bacon fat that we just poured off. Get that heated. And into this now you're going to add the 1 very finely chopped onion. And you do want this onion very finely chopped because you want the onion to kind of melt into the soup. You don't want to really be biting down onto any chunks of onion. So we're going to give this a good simmer until we see that they're really starting to soften. Typically you would put in the carrots first because they would take longer to soften up, but because in this case we want the onions to disintegrate, we're going to get those going first because I don't want to diminish their access to the heat by already adding the carrots. So let's let this simmer or saute away on a medium heat, and I'll let you know how long that takes. I'll be back in a few minutes. Okay, so it's been about 3 minutes. So at this point, let's add in the carrots. And now we're going to let these saute and soften up. So while that's going, and again, I'll tell you how long the carrots, I'll let them saute. And at this time, let's add a sprinkling of pepper, just enough to cover the surface, and a little bit of salt, not much salt at this point, because we have the bacon. So let's let this simmer or saute. In the meantime, I just want to talk to you guys about the bacon. So if you're worried about the bacon because of the fat content, please keep in mind that we did remove all the butter and all the bacon fat, and we added back in 3 tablespoons. So right now we're just working with the 3 tablespoons of fat. Sorry about that, my camera died, but this time, for once, I actually caught it. So, and I've only been gone for a couple of seconds, so nothing's really changed. So about the bacon again. The reason that you have to add the bacon or some substitute is because you want that smokiness, you want that flavor for the soup. If you don't want to use bacon or regular bacon, you could try it with turkey bacon. You could substitute very small cubes of ham. You could substitute very small cubes of a salami. Like a Genoa salami would probably be nice, but you do need some element that imparts that smokiness. All right. I don't know if for vegetarians, I'm going to sound quite ignorant right now, but I assume there is some kind of bacon substitute that you could use. Obviously for vegans, I don't think this soup will work, not only because of the bacon, but because we're also going to be using milk. So, alright, so we're just going to let this simmer. I'll come back and let you know how long I've let the carrots simmer in with the onions and bacon, and then we'll continue. Alright, so the carrots have been going for 9 minutes. You just want to basically get them quite soft already at this stage, because once they're in all the liquid, they won't soften up as easily, and you don't want hard chunks of carrot in your soup. So now we're going to add in our 3 tablespoons of flour, and let's stir that just until the flour starts to get cooked a bit. Incidentally, while your carrots were sauteing, you can divide your potatoes in half, and half keep as is, and the other half mash. Just mash them with a potato masher very well. No need to add anything. So I've got some blackening on the bottom of my pot, and we're going to deal with that right now. So into this mix now, let's go ahead, turn up the heat, and we're going to add, let's start with a 1/4 cup of water, just to help us to break up all those good bits on the bottom. Let's go ahead, add some more. So far that's 1 cup of water. As you can see, it's cleaning up the bottom of the pot for me. Just be careful when you're sauteing your onions that you don't let the bottom get too black, because then you're going to have a burnt flavor in your soup. Let's add the rest of the water. So now in total that's 2 cups of water. As you can see, just with the flour and the fat that we were cooking with, that acts as a thickening agent. And also, once we add the mashed potatoes, because of their starch, that will act as another thickening agent, and that's how you can get away with having a nice hearty, creamy soup without using any actual cream. Okay, so that's good. Bring up the heat. And now we're going to add our 4 cups of milk. So, there we go. And let's bring this up to a simmer, because your thickening agent, in this case the flour, excuse me, in this case the flour is only going to actually start doing its job once the temperature reaches a simmering point, simmering or boiling. So, you could at this stage already, let's go ahead and add the half of the, remember we divided the potatoes in half, so this is the half that we did not mash. We're going to add those in whole. And that's the reason you want them nice bite-sized pieces, because those will not be made any smaller. So as you're eating your soup, you want it so that these pieces of potato will sit comfortably on a spoon and be easy to eat off the spoon. You don't want to have to be biting pieces of potato in half in order to enjoy it. So at this stage, let's go ahead and add 1 tablespoon of the chicken stock powder. There we go. Had you decided, you could have substituted the water with chicken stock, and in that case I would not add the chicken stock powder. But in this way, by using water, we can control the level of salt we want. And I have not tasted yet, so I might need more of the powder, I might need more salt or pepper, but we're not at that stage yet. So let's bring this up to a simmer. Let's go ahead and just add a pinch of nutmeg. If you don't like nutmeg, ignore this part. But again, it's just a little pinch. Like seriously, that's it. That's all you need. But it imparts a certain earthiness, a certain warmth to the flavoring. And since this is a traditional German soup, Germans do enjoy nutmeg. It's in a lot of their bacon, it's in a lot of their cooking. If you've seen one of my previous recipes posted with the napkin dumplings, those also have nutmeg in them. In German, nutmeg, here's your word of the day. In German, nutmeg is Muskat, which I believe is the same word in French. So I know the Germans and the French do share some words, even though one is considered a Romance language and one is not. But the German word for wallet is portemonnaie, which is the same in French. I know when I'm in Germany, for French fries, they also say pommes frites, which again is the same in French, so they do share some culture. And they are, after all, neighboring countries, so I'm sure there's been some overlap over the centuries. All right, so this has not come to a simmer yet, and I really want it to come to a simmer before I continue, so I'm gonna not force you guys to watch that. I'll just let that come up to a simmer and then we'll continue. So there we go, it's come up to a simmer. And immediately you'll feel it thicken just that touch more. So now we're going to add in the mashed potatoes. So remember, we've mashed the other half of potatoes that we had. And these will now, just stir this in carefully. You don't want to break up your whole tomatoes, but these will basically dissolve right into the soup. And it's going to impart a nice natural creaminess. And that's it as far as ingredients. So once these have melted into the soup, we're going to give it a taste. If when you taste it, you've somewhere gone wrong and added too much salt, you're in luck because it is a soup. You can just add more water, add more milk. You know, the downside is you'll have a bit of a thinner soup, but the plus side is you can dilute the saltiness. Not many foods in which you can do that. I mean, once something is too salty, oftentimes it's too salty. But in a soup, unless you've, done something ridiculous, you can adjust by adding more liquid. So can you see how nice and creamy this soup is? I'm still dissolving the mashed potato. Once everything's dissolved, you can turn down the heat, let it be at just a bare simmer, maybe for another 15 minutes. So I'm just going to give this a taste now. Let's give it a taste and see how we are with our seasoning. No, that's pretty good. We're almost right on the mark. I think I will add just a sprinkling of pepper, not too much. And I think I will add another half tablespoon of the chicken stock powder. There we go. And I think I will add probably, hold on, let me have a measuring cup. That was another half cup of water. I mean, at this stage you can decide how thick you do or don't want your soup. But being a German recipe, it's quite hearty. So there we go. All the mashed potato is dissolved into the soup. Let's give this another quick taste. That's delicious, folks. That's a real comfort meal. Yeah, I think the thickness is fine. Again, if you don't like your soup too thick, you could add up to another half cup of water, but I think this is perfect. So I'm going to let this finish simmering for 15 minutes on low. I'll plate it and we'll come back and finish up. Hey folks, I forgot one ingredient, but it goes in near the end anyway, so it's not a big deal. 1 tablespoon of dried parsley, please. Let's get that in there for some freshness. You could use fresh parsley. I don't have any on hand. Using fresh parsley, chop it finely, use 2 to 3 tablespoons. Remember, dried versus fresh, it's usually a 2-to-1 ratio. Okay, so I'm going to continue along with the 15 minutes of simmering, and we'll be back. So here we go, is the finished product. I've just garnished it with a bit of fresh dill. You can use fresh dill, you can use fresh parsley. So as you can see, it's a nice hearty soup. You've got the chunks of carrot, the chunks of potato, the bacon, the creaminess from the mashed potatoes. This is an excellent soup. Traditional, tasty, filling. There you go. Give this soup a try. Please like the video, subscribe to my channel. It'll help me out, continue making more videos for you guys. And bon appetit. This is Thomas Gunn signing off with Das House. And have yourselves a great day.